Now to Sweden, where exit polls are being released on who has won the general election there. Hoping for a good showing is a far-right party with a strict anti-immigration policy, and one exit poll is indicating they have won their first seats. We can cross live now to Lawrence Lee, who's in Stockholm for the very latest. Lawrence.
Fredrik Reinfeldt is the name on everybody's lips here this evening. He's made history, assuming the exit polls are right, which it seems that they will be, the first right-wing Prime Minister in modern Swedish history to retain power. And this victory will mean that the right-wing bloc led by Fredrik Reinfeldt's moderate party will essentially have broken, if you like, a stranglehold that the left-wing Social Democrats have held over politics in Sweden really for decades. The exit polls suggest that the right-wing bloc led by the moderates have 49.1% of the votes. The left-wing bloc led by the Social Democrats, 45.1%. So there's the moderates and their coalition with a 4% lead. And the Sweden Democrats, the far-right bloc, have breached the 4% barrier, assuming the exit polls are right, 4.6% for them, which would give them their first seats in the Swedish parliament. Here's the story so far of the winners and losers in this election. If he was the leader of another country, Fredrik Reinfeldt might be an unpopular man. His coalition has made it harder for people to claim benefits and live off the state. He told Al Jazeera the key to looking after people, though, was to get them into work.
We have the policies for job creation. We are better at keeping the economy together.
And welfare as well?
Absolutely, because welfare comes out of the policies of job creation. If you have many people in the labor, you will also see that you have better resources for your welfare ambitions.
Across this country, people have been given a choice. Stick with the social democratic model so closely tied to Swedish identity, which taxes high and then spends it on the poor. Or to look after themselves a little bit more, be just a little more selfish perhaps.
Because they want to create new money by helping companies. And you see in the wallet also that it has become better now these years when they have been in the...
Because they're not giving so much money away in benefits.
Yeah.
In the long term, they will have some good ideas, and I mean, they just started out, so I think they will probably be able to do good things. And to be frank, I mean, Sweden has one of the highest individual income taxes in the world, so I mean, I think that's a good issue to focus on.
Faced with the loss of historic proportions, the Social Democrats leader took herself to the airwaves through to close of voting. But she looked tired and said she was, and she suggested her party had run out of ideas.
Right-wing governments are many in Europe today, and they are fairly strong. And to try to challenge them, progressive parties has to join together, as we have tried now in Sweden. And that is something I think we will see much more of.
This election also saw the emergence of the far-right Swedish Democrats. They produced an extraordinary campaign video which tried to suggest that Muslims were taking Swedish pensions. They had hoped to get enough votes to have a place in a coalition government, though both main parties have said they view them as repellent. Even if the far-right party doesn't end up holding the balance of power, the fact that they're likely to get at least one seat in the parliament here is a story in its own terms. Right across Europe, even here in famously liberal Sweden, societies and politics are all shifting to the right. In the end, it isn't as though Sweden is abandoning its tradition of social aid. It's just becoming a little bit tougher. Rightly or wrongly, that's life in Europe in an age of austerity. Well, let's get the thoughts of Stig-Bjorn, who's a political analyst. Thanks for sparing us the time this evening. This is fairly seismic stuff for Sweden. What is it about this right-wing coalition that has, if you like, weaned people off the social democratic tradition here, do you think?
So what happened is that the moderates, the leading conservative party, has changed their political program and absorbed social democratic values. They're talking, we are the working class party, and they managed to do that. They tried it at the last election and they managed, and nobody thought they would be able to do it two times, but they have. So they changed the political landscape of Sweden.
They've also made Sweden the fastest growing economy in Europe at the moment. Is the balance, you think, can they do this and maintain Sweden's sort of tradition of social aid and welfare?
Yeah, sure. I think one of the reasons they managed so well is that they, for the first time, have a finance minister that has a real strong grip on the economy, and he learned his lessons instance, in the 90s when they were not as good as keeping the economy well. And now, I think this is one of the reasons. He's very popular to
yes, personally popular, isn't he? When we interviewed Mona Sahlin, the Social Democrat leader, earlier on, she seemed to suggest that after 12 years in power, they'd sort of lost their way somehow and run out of ideas. That seems to be a malaise now that's affecting left-wing parties, not just here, but elsewhere in Europe as well, doesn't it?
Yeah, well, it's a paradox because the opinion is left. And everybody's angry on the banks and then the speculators and so on. But the left parties has not managed very well to use that wind, the left wind. So it's something strange.
Mona Sahlin said that she felt that if the moderate and their coalition won, it would undermine the foundations of the welfare system that Sweden's been so proud of for decades. Do you think that's true?
It's partly true. It won't be an immediate shift. We've seen this the 4 years that the centre-right government has done some changes, but they are more aiming at the long run. It's a slow burn change. It's not a shift, within the first 100 days or something like that they tried earlier. So it's more slowly moving Sweden to some other system.
We've spoken to a lot of Swedes who say that the days when Swedes could stay out of work or claim sickness benefit for months and months and months on full pay simply have to come to an end. There seems a sort of toughening of the attitude of ordinary Swedes towards the economy now, doesn't there?
It's a toughening of attitude maybe, but there's also a feeling of that you have to do something about it. And Sweden has, as many other countries in Europe, problems of trying to find some kind of industry or work for people. And of course this is making people more anxious to get the change.
A word about the Sweden Democrats, the far-right party, who will now have people in Parliament for the first time because they broke the 4% barrier. Their leader said that Islam is the greatest threat to Swedish society since the Second World War, which sounds like an extraordinarily bizarre statement to many people. They've got 4% of the population seem to agree with that.
I don't think they agree with. I think we should take their numbers very carefully and look into what it really means. I think most people have actually voted for them because they are anti-establishment. It's a populist party, and they would not have voted for them if they had been openly racist. So I think it's not as bad as it looks. It's bad, but it's not that bad.
Okay, thank you very much indeed for joining us. More from Stockholm as the evening goes on. For now, back to you.